Unit 2.1 Reading Comprehension Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai. Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai, who is lovingly called La Latif by his devotees. He was a noted Sindhi Sufi scholar, mystic, saint, and poet. He is considered as the greatest Muslim poet of the Sindhi language. Information about the life of Bhittai has mostly been collected from oral traditions. A renowned Pakistani scholar, educationist, and a writer of plays, dramas, and stories, Mirza Khalid Beg is said to have collected details about the early life of Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai from some of the old people living at that time. These people had heard these facts from their fathers and grandfathers, some of whom have been Shah Abdul Latif in person and had even spoken to him. As a Sufi poet, Latif's Urs is held at his shrine every year on 14th Safar, the second month of the Muslim calendar. Thousands of people gather and listen to the sad songs sung on the tamburo. Learned, many learned men read papers that tell about Latif's life and his poetry. Some of the key aspects shared by different scholars about La Latif are given below. One, background and family. Shah Latif's ancestral roots lay in Afghanistan. Some historians say that the Shah's father, Syed Habib Shah, migrated from Matiari, his ancestral home in Afghanistan, to Bhanapur in Sindh. In other, to gain spiritual connect with Bilawal, a local pious man. Others say that his ancestors migrated to Sindh from Herat. Sindh was a center of Muslim culture, and Shah Latif's ancestors liked it so much that they had decided to make it their home. 2. The name Bhittai. In 1742, Shah Latif left his home and went to live on a mound at some distance from his village. A mound of saint is called Bhit in Sindhi due to the fact that he lived on this mound for the rest of his life. Shah Latif came to be known as the Saint of Bhit. To this day, he is famous all over the country as Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai or Shah Latif of the Mound. 3. Early life and education. Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai was born in 1698 in Domini, 14th Safar 11,002 after Hijrah. In a small village called Hala Haveli, a few miles to east of the present town of Bhittai, Latif was raised during the golden age of Sindhi culture. His first teacher was Akhund Nur Muhammad Bhatti, but mainly he was self-educated. Although he received little formal education, the Risalo provides proof that he knew Arabic and Persian quite well. Various references in Shah Risalo indicates that he had in-depth knowledge of the Holy Quran and the Hadith. His poetic collection included the Masnavi of Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi and Shah Karim's poems. 4. Youth. Young Latif had a very sensitive mind. While he was only a boy, he started composing poetry. His admiration for the beauty of nature filled his heart with the love of God. In 1713, the Sufi poet married with the Bibi Sayyida Begum. His wife died at an early age, before she could have any children. However, Shah never married again. His heart turned more and more towards religion and devotion, and he felt restless. He found it difficult to live a normal domestic life. 5. Spiritual growth. Latif's love of God grew more and more, to the extent that he found pleasure only in devotion. As a result, he spent most of his time in prayers and deep thinking. His spiritual power grew stronger with the prayers and devotion, so much so that people began to be attracted towards him. Anyone who came to him was strongly impressed by his gentle ways, and his followers increased day by day. Close to the mount on which La Latif came to live is a natural lake. His poetic nature loved the calm atmosphere. He would spend much of his time sitting on the bank of this lake. As he sat there, he prayed to God and sometimes composed verses in his praise. 6. Death and remembrance. Lal Latif died in 1752 on the mound where he had lived. He was buried on the same mound. It is said that one day he ordered the musicians to play music. They played continuously for 3 days. When they stopped playing, they found the poet dead. A famous king of Sindh, Ghulam Shah Kalhuru, was so devoted to him that he built a grand mausoleum over his grave. The lovely white dome of the shrine represents the purity and dignity of Latif. His devotees collected his poetry, and this collection is called the Risalu of Shah Abdul Latif. Every year, the devotees celebrate his Urs, which commences on 14th Safar and lasts for 3 days. 7. Shah Latif's poetry. Shah Abdul Latif was a sensitive, gentle, and kind soul. He was a Sufi in the true sense of the word. The word Latif literally means fine, delicate, tender, elegant, and light. This meaning is truly reflected in both his poetry and his personality. Moreover, he was a poet of the people, so he wrote in the language of the common man. In his poems, he writes mainly about Sindh and its neighboring regions. However, he also mentions distant cities such as Istanbul and Samarkand, and also talks about Sindhi sailors, Samundri, their navigation techniques, and their voyages as far as the Malabar coast, Sri Lanka, and the island of Java. Here is the translation of one such verse. Cloud return, and once again it rains lightning flashed from all sides. And with it some go to Istanbul, others turn to the west. Some shine bright over China, and others take care of Samarkand. Some wander to Rome, to Kabul and Kandahar. Some lie on Delhi, Deccan thundering over. My beloved Allah, may you always make Sindh a land of abundance. My beloved Allah, may you make prosperous the whole universe. Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai Sursarang Shah Risalu. His collected poems have been compiled in Shah Risalu, which has been translated into English, Urdu, and other languages. His spiritual and mystic poetry carries a message of love, which makes it universal and acceptable to the entire human race. Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai is and always will be remembered for his great poetry with love and reverence.